So the important thing is the media reaction to this, because the media drive the narrative. And if that narrative is that America is a deeply racist place and every incident they will just lie about in order to reinforce that narrative, that drives bad policy-making decisions by the public. Because if you believe that America is a deeply racist place and that disparities in, for example, criminal populations between black and white are solely due to American racism, you're more likely to elect a progressive prosecutor who puts criminals back out on the street in the name of equity. And the media are just botching this story. And they're not just botching it. I mean, because remember, this story is over. We've known all the facts in this case for a year, but we really know them now because the case is over. And we saw all the evidence presented at trial by the prosecution. It doesn't matter. The media have their case and they are pressing it forward and they are lying about it, like openly lying. The Detroit Free Press said on Sunday, quote, in August 2020, Jacob Blake was shot and killed by a police officer in Kenosha, Wisconsin. He's not dead. The hell are you talking about? That's not even true. Okay, and the media are repeating stuff like this. There's a paper in the UK that reported that Kyle Rittenhouse had shot 3 black people. All 3 of the people he shot were white. Meanwhile, you have MSNBC's Tiffany Cross going on national television and calling Rittenhouse a, quote, little murderous white supremacist.
The fact that white supremacists roam the halls of Congress freely and celebrate this little murderous white supremacist, and the fact that he gets to walk the streets freely, it lets you know these people have access to instituting laws. They represent the legislative branch of this country. What are we to make of that?
Well, I hope that she enjoys the defamation lawsuit. That's what we ought to make of that. Little murderous white supremacist. She doesn't have every word that she says there is untrue. He is not a white supremacist and he is not a murderer by the law. So I hope that she really enjoys her summons for the defamation lawsuit, for the subpoena. That'll be fun to preserve all of her papers and all of this. Meanwhile, CNN's Van Jones says we now have a pattern of white vigilantes. Again, the narrative must be upheld at all costs. It is very important for the left to uphold this narrative.
This idea of white vigilante violence is something that we have to wrestle with, and it may not be done in one single court case, but we've got a pattern now where white men feel that they have the right to enforce the law themselves. When you look at Ahmaud Arbery, when you look at this case, when you look at Trayvon Martin, when you look at the white mob that attacked the Capitol, that somehow there is a group of people that think that they have the right to take the law into their own hands. They can leave their home with guns and they can enforce their vision of the law on other people.
He was not enforcing his vision of the law on other people. He literally shot these people in self-defense. He was attacked. Okay, but the narrative has to be maintained. That it's white vigilantism. That it's white racism, white supremacy. Amber Ruffin, who I'd never heard of until she started being pushed on Twitter. She apparently has a show on Peacock, which I guess is NBC's online wing. And here she goes.
It's not okay for a man to grab a rifle, travel across state lines, and shoot 3 people and then walk free. It's not okay for the judicial system to be blatantly and obviously stacked against people of color. It's not okay for there to be an entirely different set of rules for white people. But I don't care about Kyle Rittenhouse. I don't care about that racist judge. And I don't care about how up that jury must be. White people have been getting away with murder since time began. I don't care about that. I care about you. And I can't believe I have to say this, but you matter.
Okay, this sort of rhetoric is horrifying. It's horrifying because it's a lie. So first of all, he didn't cross state lines with a gun. Second of all, he didn't just shoot people. Third, the people he shot were white. Fourth, self-defense is a defense that applies to everyone, black, white, and green. Fifth, the notion that she doesn't care about Kyle Rittenhouse is obviously untrue. She's crying about it on national TV. So no. But again, this is the narrative. The narrative is any story can be twisted to fit this narrative, that America is a white supremacist country and therefore you have to give power to radicals in order to fix the problem. And this bleeds over into every area of our culture. Remember, it is a wave. Okay, so as I wrote in my book, The Authoritarian Moment, the authoritarianism is coming from the institutions. It is coming from the institutions. The left only wants to talk about January 6th, this notion, the idea that the democracy is about to be overthrown. Every major institution in American life is lying to you right now about cases like Kyle Rittenhouse. Every major institution in American life is lying to you about criminality. Every major institution in American life is willing to twist the facts and falsify the facts and then to penalize you if you refuse to go along with it, to suspend you if you refuse to go along with it, to fire you if you refuse to go along with it. You will be plunking that Black Lives Matter sign down on your lawn, or you will lose your job. You will definitely not express any support for Kyle Rittenhouse's defense, or you will lose your job. You will not maintain that America is not systemically racist, or you will lose your job. That is what these folks want. And they will lie to get what they want. And again, it's every area. It's not just, your media, which is, of course, just a propaganda wing for the Democratic Party. It's cultural figures like Reese Witherspoon. I'm old enough to remember when Reese Witherspoon wasn't entirely politically insane, but now she tweets out crap like this, quote, woke up this morning thinking about every mother, father, sister, brother, friend who's lost someone to senseless gun violence in America. And then there was no justice for their pain. This is a disgrace. Justice for whose pain? The child molester attempting to grab a gun from a minor? Or the guy trying to slam a skateboard into the head of a minor? Or the guy approaching somebody with a gun to shoot him? Which one of those people, Reese? Hey, how about Mark Ruffalo? Mark Ruffalo is just, my God, Mark Ruffalo. He tweeted out, we come together to mourn the lives lost to the same racist system that devalues black lives. None of these three people were black. None of them. They were all whiter than I am. We come together, says Mark Ruffalo, to mourn the lives lost to the same racist system that devalues black lives and devalued the lives of Anthony and JoJo. Who the F is JoJo? Is JoJo referring to Joseph Rosenbaum, a convicted pedophile? Is he literally referring to a convicted pedophile who used the N-word that night and tried to chase down a guy to kill him as JoJo? Maria Shriver tweeted out, I'm trying to take a beat to digest the Rittenhouse verdict. My son just asked me how it's possible he didn't get charged for anything. How is that possible? I don't have an answer for him. Well, first of all, he was charged with stuff. He was then acquitted. Also, your son is 26. At some point, you might want to tell him that he is capable of turning on a television. Also, are you, Maria, trying to take a beat to digest the Rittenhouse verdict? How is it possible that he didn't get charged for anything? Last I checked, your name is Maria Kennedy Shriver, right? Like you're part of the Kennedy family, right? And Teddy drove a woman into the drink and left her there to drown, and then sat in Senate for several terms. So I'm gonna go on this one. You might want to cool in on this one. But again, it's every area of the culture. Jalen Rose, covering the NBA, talking about Kyle Rittenhouse. You want to know why we're launching into sports here at Daily Wire? One of the reasons we're launching into sports is so you don't have to watch garbage like this from Jalen Rose.
Here's the thing. The Black Lives Matter protest was actually taking place because Jacob Blake was shot and killed by a police officer.
Jacob Blake is alive. It's just incredible. It's just incredible. And by the way, again, this is all mirroring the Democratic Party political position. I know what you're thinking. It's time to binge some more Ben Shapiro videos. Well, you are right. You should. But first, like and subscribe. Perfect. I'll see you in the next video.